Hello, it's the NFLExporter Ty Goodman. We're doing the mid-season report for the 2013-14 NFL season. Let's head over to the NFC North. In first place is the Green Bay Packers at 5-3. The Packers were doing very well. Aaron Rodgers was continuing to play at a high level. Injuries have continued to plague this team. They lost Jermichael Finley for the season due to a neck injury. Randall Cobb, the very good young slot receiver, one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets, they lost him for the majority of the season. James Jones battled through a couple of injuries. He's kind of now just rounding back into form. And Eddie Lacy was injured a little bit early. They finally got him back on track, and I really felt the Packers were finding a perfect balance between the precision passing of Aaron Rodgers and the bruising running game of Eddie Lacy. But just this past Monday, Rodgers went down with a collarbone clavicle type issue, and will miss some extensive time, probably 4 to 5 games. Sounds like the hopeful turntable. And with that being the case, the Packers now face some major issues in the passing game on offense with Seneca Wallace, as well as a possible other guy at starting quarterback. We know that this team passing game revolves around precision passing, and let's face it, there's no way to replace Aaron Rodgers. On the defensive side of the ball, Clay Matthews has missed some time due to injury, but this team has been very good against the run. Big guys on the front line, B.J. Raji doing a very good job, making it difficult for teams to find much running room. They also, secondary-wise, are playing pretty good. Guys like Burnett and Tremont Williams, guys who have been in the system for quite some time, solid enough. Green Bay was pretty much, putting up enough points where the defense could make the necessary plays where they needed to, but they did just get gashed. Matt Forte obviously being one of the more elite backs in the league, but in the NFC, we know that's an area we have guys like Frank Gore and Marshawn Lynch, so they want to make sure they continue to stop the run. And in the passing game, we'll see how that works out with Aaron Rodgers not being there and creating a lot more pressure for this defense to have to hold up against. Overall, they have some pretty key games down the stretch, and let's be honest, it's all going to revolve around when Aaron Rodgers returns. In my belief, with Aaron Rodgers being out, this is a 500 team, and so with it being 5-3 right now, you say if he misses 4 games, they'd be looking at a 7-5 record, somewhere 7-5, 7-6, and we'll see. This could be a big hit for this Green Bay team, who may have had a chance at a division title, now maybe looking at trying to fight for a wild card spot. Next in line, the Detroit Lions at 5-3. I really like what the Lions have done this year, and particularly Matthew Stafford, the quarterback, cutting down on turnovers. We all know that he could always pass the ball. He has a big-time weapon in Calvin Johnson at wide receiver, but turnovers really have hampered him in the past, and this year he's not making those silly mistakes. When he needs to, he's stepping up and making the big plays. We mentioned Calvin Johnson, the all-pro wide receiver. What else can you say about this guy? Had 329 yards receiving in one game. I mean, it's just really a joy to watch a guy like Megatron. Reggie Bush has really been the X factor on this team. Coming over in the offseason from Miami, very dynamic player. I really like what he's doing between the tackles, on the edges, in the passing game. A really good all-purpose back, and just a perfect fit for this Detroit team. On the defensive side of the ball, Ndamukong Suh, along with Nick Fairley, the two defensive tackles are creating a lot of pressure. On the second levels, guys like DeAndre Levy, Tulloch are doing a good job. Kind of high-bird linebackers, maybe not the strongest in each area, but can play a little bit of pass, can play a little bit of the run. And then Louis Delmas is really the heart and soul and glue of this defense back there at strong safety, making a lot of big plays, really being a leader on the field, providing the energy that this defense needs. And excuse me, I really expect for Detroit to have a shot at winning this division. They have key games left, excuse me, against Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. So you figure those are games they'll probably win. But, at Chicago and Green Bay, our games are going to be big. They actually play at Chicago this week. So from what I've seen, they had an easier schedule. I believe they may emerge in winning this division. Next in line, we have the Chicago Bears. The Bears have looked very good this year, I must say. The biggest injuries for them have come on the defensive side of the football. They lost Henry Milton. Lance Briggs has missed some extensive time. Another start on the defensive side of the ball. So that's really been an area where you see the Bears usually being a vaunted defense, but taking hits like that are hard to replace, and they become a little bit more vulnerable. But the key components, which are Julius Peppers, Peanut Tillman, guys like that are still there to solidify it, and those are really the playmakers within that defense. So they'll have to hold steady. We'll see how they can overcome these injuries, but this is a veteran group. I would expect them to be able to do that. On the offensive side of the football, Mark Trestman's done a great job coming in and really balancing this offense out, featuring Matt Forte, using him to his full capability. Forte, one of the better all-purpose backs in the league, is really having a Pro Bowl caliber type year. Jay Cutler was doing a great job on limiting turnovers, and really the emergence of second-year wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey has been a big asset to this offense. While teams may be giving a whole lot of attention to all-pro receiver Brandon Marshall, Jeffries is stepping up and making the big plays and really having a breakout season, being everything that the Bears hoped he would be when they drafted him last year. Also, the addition of tight end Martellus Bennett has been key. And don't let me overlook Brandon Marshall, who's still having a Pro Bowl caliber type year, showing he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. The concerns here, the Bears' offensive line, especially in pass protection situations. The Bears are going back with Jay Cutler this week after missing a few games due with a groin injury. I think they should feel confident, though, that if something does happen, backup Luke McCown did a great job in a road victory at Green Bay. I like the Bears to be right there when it's all said and done, knocking for a wild card spot, possibly the division title. All these teams are 5-3 that I just mentioned: Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago. So in head-to-head matchups, we'll see how things play out. Last but not least, the Minnesota Vikings coming in at 1-7. This team has definitely took steps back from last year, but maybe last year was an overachievement possibly when you consider how young this group is. Christian Ponder, Josh Freeman, Matt Castle. It's been a quarterback carousel. Injuries, incohesiveness have not allowed the team really to have a leader. Just when it seemed like after all of these quarterbacks had some time, Ponder starting and then going down with injury. Ponder played last week at Dallas fairly well, was having a pretty decent game against Washington and got injured. And so now